As a stock trader, you have a lot of different choices about what to trade, but you can't trade the entire market. So how do you whittle it down to find the issues and the shares and the symbols that are moving that day and are good trading opportunities? Our guest today is Gilbert Mendez. He's here to talk to us about that. So Gilbert, describe a typical morning for us. How do you get up and decide what stocks you're going to trade that day?
Good question. I actually have a pretty long routine. It starts the night before. I look at what reported the previous day, and I put it on my watch list. I come in and I have about 20 ideas that I like to follow for the day on the long side and the short side. But then my first hour, I get to the office around 7:30, start scanning the news, trying to find, is there anything out there that is popping or that something that catches my attention that has any pre-market volume. And then those are the names that I try to follow, the things that are most in play.
All right, so you mentioned companies that have reported earnings the day before. Are those obviously the ones that are moving the next day?
Yeah, so I tend to follow a lot of names that are reporting the night before or the day of. And obviously it draws a lot of the big players to come in and trade the stock. So anything that reports earnings, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on throughout the entire day.
So how do you go about trading without having like a specific basket of stocks? I know some traders want to trade just Amazon because they want to get familiar with the behavior and then trade that. But it sounds like you're willing to trade pretty much whatever's moving.
Absolutely. I just think that for my style of trading, I like trading the stocks that are most in play because it has a lot more volatility, it has a lot more liquidity, and the range can really expand a lot, and it just allows me to make more money that way. So I understand the concept of being very familiar with your stocks, but for my style of trading, I find that there's a lot more opportunity when things have fresh news, and it makes the stock move a lot more.
All right, so now that you have a stock that's moving and you have maybe 20 or so that are you looking for specific patterns on those that are developing in the morning?
Right. For the most part, there's times when there's a technical setup, and I'll try to trade that setup. But if there's nothing really compelling about it, I'll just most likely get back to let the stock actually do some trading, get back to around 10:30, 11, and see if there's any kind of pattern that I can spot. And my favorite setups are really more the stock drives up and starts to consolidate, and I try to position myself for the second leg on the close. And
that typically happens that it will burst through some resistance that it's consolidated at?
Right, absolutely. So a lot of times the stock will drive for $1, $1.50, and it just goes sideways for about another 2 or 3 hours, and I try to position myself for those 2 hours, hoping to get the follow through in the close.
So that takes some patience to be able to sit there for a couple of hours and wait for your opportunity. How did you kind of develop that patience to do that?
The market, I had to change a little bit. I was more of the reactive trader. The HFTs took a little bit of that edge, so I had to transition into a more patient type of trading a little bigger time frames.
How many trades are you comfortable having on at any given time during the day?
25, 30 positions is kind of my threshold. When I start having any more than that, I get too sloppy, and then it's very easy to bleed too fast.
That's a lot of positions to monitor at one time. Did that take some practice to do?
Yes, absolutely. I think I kind of built my portfolio, started with like 4 or 5 positions, and then every day you start getting better at tracking stuff, and obviously not all of them are the high beta stocks, not all the stocks that are moving. A lot of times, I'll just sit on a consolidation, and the consolidation, if it's not really moving, it doesn't require a whole lot of my attention.
Gilbert, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You're watching the MoneyShow.com video network.